Hello, I'm Mark Hammett. I'm here again with you to have a devotional and daily Bible reading from Weber Road Church of Christ in Corpus Christi, Texas. And we'd love to have you visit with us if you're ever in our community, if you're visiting with us, if you're on vacation, whatever brings you here, whatever the case, we'd love to have you visit with us if at all possible. If you have any questions about the church here or about anything, especially of a spiritual nature, we'd love to be able to discuss those things with you. You may want to turn to Luke 15. Luke 15 is where our Bible reading will come from in just a few moments. You know, there's a lot of things that you remember from when you were younger, and I'll tell you before I tell this story that my facts may not always be accurate, because from the perspective of a little boy, as I remember it 50 years later, some of those facts, again, may not be completely accurate. I guess I'd have to ask my parents about the facts of the matter. But what I remember as a little boy, we used to live in an apartment complex when I was very young. I'm guessing I was 4 or 5. And this was a day and age, and this was, interestingly enough, in a place like Flint, Michigan, where you wouldn't want your child to run around in an apartment complex without parents around. This was a day and age where that occurred, and very little happened back then like it might today. So nevertheless, the kids in the apartment complex would all play together outside. We'd play together on the stairs in different areas, and I had friends back then. And again, I'm guessing I was about 4 or 5 years old. But I remember one occasion when we were playing hide and go seek in the apartment complex. And one of my friends and I went down into what I remember was the basement. And we were hiding. And I remember that he locked me in an area of the basement. It was a storage place from what I remember. And he locked me in there and left. And I remember as a little boy, I was scared to death. It was dark, and it was a long time until someone actually found me. And I was thinking as a little boy, what it would be like, as I think about that and what occurred then, what it would be like to be lost, where someone may have been looking for you, but they weren't able to find you. And then finally, when they found me, how happy I was as that little boy. And I think about that from the perspective of, for example, my grandchildren and how scary that might be, or even children in the community in which I live. And sometimes you'll see the little ones on the streets with no parents around, just running up and down the streets. And I always think how terrible that would be for one of those children, especially at that age, to be lost and not know when someone was going to come find them. Well, one of the things we know is that as Christians, when we are lost, God looks for us. He wants us to return to Him in that case. And He does all He can, and He has done all He can to return those that have been lost, that have drifted away, to come back to Him once again. We're going to read from Luke chapter 15. And this is a great chapter. I don't know how much I'll get through in the time we have, but we're going to read at least the first 10 verses, and then I'll refer to the last one after we're done. This is called the parable of the lost sheep. Now the tax collectors and sinners were all drawing near to Him, that being Jesus. And the Pharisees and scribes grumbled, saying, "This man receives sinners and eats with them." So He told them this parable. "What man of you, having 100 sheep, if he has lost one of them, does not leave the 99 in the open country and go after the one that is lost until he finds it? And when he has found it, he lays it on his shoulders, rejoicing. And when he comes home, he calls together his friends and neighbors, saying to them, 'Rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep that was lost.' Just so I tell you, there will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who need no repentance." And then in verse 8, the parable of the lost coin. "Or what woman, having 10 silver coins, if she loses one coin, does not light a lamp and sweep the house and seek diligently until she finds it? And when she has found it, she calls together her friends and neighbors, saying, 'Rejoice with me, for I have found the coin that I had lost.' Just so, I tell you, there is joy before the angels of God over the one sinner who repents." And I would encourage you to continue to read this chapter, even though you may be very familiar with the story. of the parable of the prodigal son. Remember, in that parable, as you read it, look for the response of the father as the prodigal son returns home after living in a far-off country, wasting all of his inheritance, and wanting to go back to his father as just a servant of the house. Remember what the response was? Remember, the father came to him as he saw him coming. He kissed him and he gave him a large party or banquet in his honor, because that which was lost was now found. And remember, that is the response that we receive. If we have drifted away or have fallen away from the Lord, or if one, again, sinner or a Christian has drifted away from God and they return back to God, God is always wanting us to follow Him and to be faithful to Him. I hope this has been helpful to you and encouraging. And if you would like to contact us at the Weber Road Church of Christ, really for any reason, if you live in our community, again, visit with us. If you live in another community and you're looking for a good congregation to attend, or if you, at this present time, need a place to be able to view on Facebook or YouTube, please go to the Weber Road Church of Christ. And we do conduct our services, our Bible classes and services, online. And so you can view those live or you can view those later, as they will be recorded and posted to those formats. Again, it's been good to be with you, and may the Lord bless you richly as you seek to follow His will.